So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, sorry, good morning rather, wishing my day away there, and welcome to our deep dive webinar on how to get started with digital collaboration and documentation. We're planning the webinar to run for approximately 60 minutes. We've got two presenters today. There will be plenty of time for you to ask questions as well as we go along. My name's Ivor Morgan. I'm going to be your host for today. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask during the webinar, then please do address them to the Q&A box, which you will see on your screen. We're going to be recording this session, and we'll be sending it out via email to you shortly afterwards, as soon as we finished processing it. And we also have the ability now to translate the captions. So if you look at the bottom of your screen and you see the CC box, you'll be able to choose the language that you would like to have the captions translated into. If English isn't your native language, it may help you to follow along with this. I apologise, it doesn't include all of the European languages, but hopefully you'll be able to find something there that will help you. Our agenda today, we're going to have a setting the scene about how you can collaborate and document better using a Matterport digital twin. And then that will progress into a deep dive how-to show you how the scanning works and how the software works. And then once we've captured the information, we'll pass the presentation across to our colleagues from SimLab, who are going to talk about stages and how you can use stages to maximize your collaboration and documentation as a build project carries on. Our speakers today are Chris Atkinson from Matterport. Chris is our subject matter expert for everything to do with AEC and design and build as well. He's been with the company for a number of years, and he's worked with a large number of customers to help them to get their digital scanning capabilities set up. We also have Marek Kozlak. Marek is the CEO of SimLab, also the founder of SimLab, and he's primarily responsible for the Stages product that we're going to be looking at today. So without any further ado, I'm going to pass you across to Chris, and he will take it from there.
Yeah. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us today. It's good to see you all take the time out to learn a little bit more about Matterport. Today, the session is going to be a bit of a deeper dive at how to. We'll show you exactly how we go about capturing a digital twin with the capture process, and also what we can do inside the tool, what's delivered to us, and how we can take that further with the product SimLab Stages. But I just wanted to set the scene a little bit before we deep dive into the live demonstration. So this was a statistic I saw from a recent conference at Autodesk University in 2021, and this really did blow my mind a little bit. If we're thinking about how we're collecting data, the terms digitization, they have been buzzwords for a number of years now. But I think this statistic really hits home on exactly how much that is of importance now. So before 2019, we had only recorded 10% of the entire world's history. Since 2019, we've collected 90% of it. And that trend is only set to continue. We're capturing data at an extraordinary rate. And there is an argument that on the opposite side of things, we're actually becoming data hoarders. We're collecting so much data because it's so easy to do so that we're actually making ourselves less efficient because it's more difficult to find the right information that we need for our specific job tasks because we've simply got so much for it. We're swimming in a massive data trying to find the right little island. Now, that massive data leads nicely into these slides, and we can see that 95% of data that we're capturing in construction still goes unused. We hit the button on one of our scanners, it captures 100,000 measurements a second. We're probably looking for one or two measurements in that entire data set. How tall is the unit? How wide is this room? The rest of the data is there to put it into context, but we don't largely use it. And what that means is that often we are sending lots of data and we are miscommunicating the project data. So the one thing that I feel is really unique about Matterport is the clarity it provides in being able to not only understand the job site effectively, but giving the people the opportunity to find the right information faster and act on it more effectively. What we want to do is we want to reduce the amount of rework by providing clarity, by providing information that somebody can easily understand as if they were almost there on site. And this leads into this slide, really. This, if you take anything home with you today, this would be the slide I would say to remember. As I said, that data side is becoming easier. Scanners now are very user-friendly. The ability to simply click a button and move out the way, and you're capturing lots and lots of data. You move it to the next position and you repeat. That data element, that documentation of existing sites is really, really simple. We're looking for it to be faster, faster, faster. Everybody wants to collect data faster. That's been a known trend in the industry for a fair few years, and you'll see scanners getting faster. But again, the next part is that ingest part. And when I say ingest, what I'm meaning is I'm taking that data and I'm understanding it. I'm actually ingesting it and it's ticking the boxes and I know exactly what that issue is on site. This is where the platform Matterport really is quite unique, because we allow the space to be collaborated and shared via the web, via the cloud, and it means that anybody can access the data anywhere in the world. Now, if we look at those first two parts, that document and that collaborate, and we spend some time on being more efficient in those two areas with a solution like Matterport, that's where we see those immediate benefits and efficiencies. So today we're here to talk about optimizing the way you run your projects, about being more efficient in that documentation and that collaboration throughout the various stages of the project lifecycle. If somebody goes and captures an existing as-built site that is going to be renovated or refurbished, we need to do multiple trips. That is often how we've done it. We've gone to the site, we've checked information, we've come back, we've maybe missed a measurement, we've had to go out again. With the digital twin, you can see on here, we are actually saving hundreds of hours in those initial design reviews and actually 80% cost savings on that documentation. It allows our team to understand the environment and be there digitally as close as they would be to being there in person. In the center of that, it is about collaboration. And 82% of users who use a 3D walkthrough experience or a Matterport digital twin say that it is the most effective way to communicate their job site status. It means they're not there. They're not actually physically on site, getting in the way of all of the trades that are coming in. They're able to actually monitor, comment, and share issues virtually. And that leads into that final part with facilities management and operation. Once you hand that asset over, there are multiple use cases for the building operator to run that facility. IoT sensors are coming massively into play with the digital twin, that real-time bi-directional sync of information. But what we're looking at here is we're actually reducing site visits quite a bit, up to 50% for certain customers. And this leads nicely into that. So you may have seen online recently that Matterport launched its first ESG report, talking about how digital twins can actually go a long way to contributing to our company's sustainability efforts, to reducing our carbon footprints. And you can see there, this is Swinnerton, who are a contractor in the US. And this is on an actual project that they use. So 17 members typically saved about 400 hours of travel time in terms of cost and expense, but they also saved 13K of CO2. They actually managed to reduce their own travel on that entire project by 50% and client travel by 100%. Again, the client didn't need to come and see the construction works carrying on because the Matterport solution was clear enough to give them the confidence they needed in understanding the environment digitally. So you can see I'm set up at home. I've got a little bit of a demo studio set up. It's not a construction site, unfortunately. It would be a lot easier if I could scan a real construction site. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk you through the scanning process and show you a little bit of how the Matterport Capture app works and one of our cameras. So one thing that I always like to stress, we talk about data capture, we talk about millions of measurements and large point clouds and all that kind of stuff. When in reality, we need to question our accuracy requirements more. We need to be more efficient. As I said, we've made it so easy to capture data now that we just capture tons and tons of it just because we can, because it's simple. When in reality, we should be asking, what is the right tool for this job? What is that data going to be used for? Which pieces of software is that data going to flow through, and how will it be utilized? So as you can see on here, we've got a list of the Matterport supported cameras. Everything from your smartphone in your pocket. You can capture a Matterport space effectively with what everybody has, your smartphone. We do also support 360 panel cams, which again are great for construction sites. The idea you can go around and take an instant 360 image. And it's Matterport's unique AI, Cortex, that really does leverage these two tools because they take 2D imagery. And it's Cortex that has the ability to convert that 2D imagery to a 3D environment. The way we can do this is because of the vast sum of spaces that we have hosted on our solution. They're all in one place. Our AI Cortex is learning from every space that we put in front of it, getting more effective in how it stitches and assesses that depth information. As we go up, we start to talk about our own manufactured cameras, the Pro 2 and the Pro 3, and we also support one of the high-end LiDARs, the Leica BLK 360. So the Pro 2, which you can see over my shoulder here, this actually is an infrared camera. This has been our best-in-class camera for a number of years, and it was perfect for where Matterport started out. We largely started out in the promote use case space, capturing residential real estate and houses, and you will have come across a Matterport space before. This is a great tool, really cheap. It does have an infrared grid of points that it will put on a surface, and that depth sensor will add accuracy to the information. It also has a high resolution 4K camera. So again, a single spin and a single scan with this particular scanner is about 19 seconds. Really fast. You can move at speed before anybody else needs to come into that environment and you start to get in the way. But for AEC, the norm has always been LiDAR. It's been laser scanning. It's just something that we've been using for years and years, and it is considered the norm. So we last year released our Pro 3 camera, which is the camera you can see and we're going to demonstrate. And this is our LiDAR camera. Again, this is designed to fast and efficiently document your construction site so that it can be shared and collaborated with. It has a very different accuracy level to some of the survey grade scanners that we talk about. So again, what I'll do is I'll show you a little bit of a demonstration with this camera. The final one, and leaning into the Leica BLK, this is the precision unit that we actually support. So this camera by Leica has an accuracy of ±6 millimeters at 10 meters. Again, choosing the right tool for the job, understanding how long you want to spend on site, what the data is going to be used for, really is critical in making the choice here. So I'm just going to stand up a little bit, if that's all right. Let me just increase my camera a little bit so I can just see a little bit. And I'm going to bring the Pro 3 camera in. So this is a really lightweight unit. You can see on the tripod there, we have our bespoke mounting piece that comes with the tripod. And then we have the camera itself. So on one side, the camera lens. On the other side, the display screen with the on-off button, and then in the center, the mirror. So the laser is going to be firing from the side housing onto the mirror, which is going to be spinning very fast, firing the laser to hit at least 100,000 measurements per second. So I'm just turning that on. It takes about 60 seconds for the unit to boot up. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to swap across to my iPad. Again, if you are using an iPad, an iPhone, and Android, the Matterport app is available just simply to download, and that is used as our control device. So no matter which of these cameras you're actually using, it all works through the same app and in the same process. So no matter if you're using the Pro 2, the Pro 3, the Leica, it will all be through the same fashion. So I'm just going to start the app up, and I'm actually going to do a screen grab. So you can see on the left hand side I have the ability to go in and view all my previous projects. I'm able to see the jobs on there, but what I'm going to do is in the bottom right here you can see the new job button. Now I've got my kind of GPS turned on my iPad, and you can see it's already picked up my home address. So let's take that out in case somebody starts sending us things. But again, this is the name of the job site, and I can start building in information about that model and about that construction site or that particular point in time in this job description. If I hit save, you'll see it will open up the scan environment. So there's not a ton of functionality and buttons on here. We don't want to confuse you. We want to keep this nice and simple. You can see the round button on the center of the right is the scan button. The white bar to slightly to the left of it is which device is currently connected. That is which device is going to be capturing the environment. And we also have the options tool at the top. So I'm currently going to be capturing with an iPad. Well, I want to change that. So if I select that, you can see in there, it's already recognized the Bluetooth on the Matterport Pro 3. So if I select and join, try that one more time. If not, I'll go to my settings and I'll connect that way. Just check this is on fine. So my settings, Wi-Fi, and then it should appear in the list here. There we go. So just connect this way. Go back to the Matterport app, and you can see now I've got the Matterport Pro 3 connected. So for options of this, we actually have two options in terms of scanning with this unit. The first is a 3D scan. It'll spin, it'll capture all the information, and what it will do is it will use the 3D depth sensor on it, the LiDAR, to produce a 3D model. The second option is without that 3D depth information. It's simply a 360 panel image. So again, if you just want to add a nice image into the model, you're able to do that. But obviously with this environment, what we're going to do is that 3D scan, and I'm going to hit go and start that process. Now this is real time for how this is scanning, and you'll see how quickly this scan actually goes and how quickly we can move to the next position. So imagine how fast you can move around a construction site with this particular camera. That's it. We've done the scan. We can now move it. I am in a limited space here, so my apologies. I'm only going to be moving small increments here. But again, typically what I'm finding is when I'm on site, I can move this 15. Once that first scan actually comes through, what you can see is it's started to generate a floor plan of the environment. You can actually see the kind of square area beneath that number 1. That's the bit underneath the tripod, which you can't see. You can actually see my legs and my shadow off to the right-hand side of that. And also the information it's captured through the windows. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat that process. I've moved it slightly into the corner. So what we should start to do here is we should start to generate and fill in some of those black areas, because all of this technology that we're looking at today is a line of sight technology. If the laser, the infrared, or the camera can't see it, then it can't make assumptions on it and add it in. So it is about moving that camera around into the right position. So as this aligns the scans, what you'll see is this will start to get denser and it will start to fill that information in. I can drop in at any point and I can look at those images. I also have a realign option on there, which is a new beta for us. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you some of the tools down the bottom right-hand side here. So the first one is adding floors. So for example, if you're on a multi-story building, what we advise is as you're going up a staircase, if you add a new floor and then carry on scanning, it will give you the ability to actually turn on and off various floors. So really nice and really easy. We also have this plus minus button, and you can see here some of the areas which are issues for scanners typically tend to be reflective surfaces. Things like highly polished windows, mirrors. What we've got on here is we've got the ability to choose windows, mirrors, or trim, and we can add those into the environment. So all I'm doing is I'm actually manually moving this across, showing it where the window is, and I can carry on. Now, what this is actually telling the software to do is to actually forget the information within that window zone for its registration, for its stitching of the scans together. And that will help and will improve it. If I go back, what I would do is continue going around the construction site, continue scanning all the areas that I might need. And what I would do is once I finish that, I would then go to the upload button. You can see I've not got internet on this. It's not connected because I'm connected to my laptop. But when you hit the upload button, it allows you to log into your Matterport account. It allows you to choose the account you wish to upload it to. And it also gives you the options to blur faces. So again, for people who are walking around the site or for any photographs or images that might be around the site, it will automatically blur their faces out. So if I just drop off that, and hopefully there'll be some questions towards the end in terms of the scanning process. Let me just bring this back up. There we go. And we can carry on through. So the next part, once we've uploaded those scans to Matterport, is that's where we get our hands on it and we do the clever stuff. We start processing that information and create an experience that you will largely be familiar with. What we're actually going to be doing here is we're going to be talking to you about how you can use the tools on the Matterport account to actually edit and add information, as well as looking at some of the additional add-ons that we provide for that element. Okay, so just in summary, before I drop into this live, you can see here we've got reducing the site visits by using some of these tools. Things like measurements, like views, tags, and notes. These are all in the Matterport tool bench for you to be able to edit and add more information to that space, as well as communicate with those in the job team. So I'm going to actually swap across to my Matterport account. So let me just drop off that one and bring up here. And you can see my Matterport account and all of my spaces. So I just drop into this AEC example. This is a construction site, fairly large site. But again, this is typically what we'd be looking at in our day-to-day job work. You can see across the bottom there, I actually have a highlight reel. So areas that may have critical issues or be of interest to the job, we can actually screenshot those. And if we want, we can actually play a little video between all of those spaces, or we can click and we'll simply navigate straight to that location. So it's that 3D dollhouse that really sets Matterport apart. You know, we are giving you the ability to convert your information to a 3D model with very little input from yourself. As I go into the edit functionality at the top here, this is the workbench area. This is where I can start to add information to it. And you can see the tools all listed down the left-hand side. So things like measurements, things like tags and notes, blur and trim, screenshot, they're all available in this environment. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to go to my floor plan view. I'm going to drop into this music hall. and you can see this space. So for example, if I wanted a measurement and I wanted to tag an important measurement on this location, you can see there as I'm moving around, I have the ability to double click and it will provide me a floor to ceiling height, which is perpendicular. If I want a dimension which isn't perpendicular, again, I can just click the 2 points and it will add that information in there. So really simple. You don't need a lot of experience or software skills to be able to use this. You go in, you click the information you want, and you actually click where you want to go. Notes and tags are really important. These allow us to add additional data to the space. So we can see here, I'm adding a tagged point. I could add a title for this. So equipment box. And again, I can add descriptions. I can upload media in terms of videos, images, PDFs, audio, the whole lot. And I can start to choose colors and icons for this, as well as choosing keywords. So for example, if I call this fire equipment box, I know that it's not, but just as an example, I can choose the fire icon, make this a little bit more representative of it, and hit save. And I'll show you how that works. But again, if I put any information into it and overlay that, we can see on there. And I've got actually quite a nice little example to show you that, which is on the desktop. So here's the one I prepared earlier, where we've got a PNG, which is this image here. Let me just, apologies, my screen needs to move a little bit. And what I can do is I can scroll up, drag and drop, and that information is embedded in the screen. Yeah. So if I hit save, we can see now as I hover over, that information is inside the box. So think of all the possibilities of adding information into the environment. Drawings, technical checklists, specifications, the whole lot can be added to it. Our notes functionality is very similar to tags, but what this does is this starts the conversation for this particular issue. So for example, if this equipment is in the way, there's works carrying on, when is this likely to be moved? And again, if I add images and videos and things in there, I could add a copy of the scheduled program, and I can start to tag people inside here. So if I tag my colleague and hit add, she will automatically get an email that will have a URL link. It will take her straight to this view on the screen, and it will have that information which she'll be able to respond to, and it will start to build out the conversation in here as we go. So a really unique way of actually building up information. One of the new features we added last year was a tool called Views, and you can actually see across the top. What we've got the ability to do here is have different view sets for different trades. So for example, if I wanted to have MEP or structural, I could create a view for each of those disciplines. I could tag up all my information and make it invisible to somebody who is in the MEP. They're not concerned about the structure in too many instances. They're concentrating on their ducting, their piping, etc. So you can split the information up and have teams see different data sets as you walk through. If I exit and go back, you'll see those changes are all incorporated, and I can simply share that link with customers. Now, the link can be private, it can be password protected, or it can be public. If it's public, anybody can actually have access to it. And we also have the ability to add collaborators to that who can edit and view the space as well. Now, we do have the ability to have this completely open to anybody. If it's public, anybody with the URL link can visit and walk around the space. However, those that are collaborators and need to edit the space, they must be added and provided with can edit access in this location. Now, the final part before I hand over to Marek is a little bit about the add-ons for each space. Now, not only do we provide that day one deliverable for you, the 3D digital twin of the environment, we also have a number of add-ons that allow you to take this further and into your own design softwares. Now, looking down here, there are 2 or 3 that I'd like to pick out. Firstly, the Matter Pack. This is essentially a bundle of file types that includes an OBJ file with all its textures, so that's a mesh file format, and an XYZ point cloud. The thing about the XYZ is it is a decimated point cloud. It's had points removed, so it's very lightweight in size. Alternatively, if you want all of the data that the camera is capturing, we can go for the E57 file type. This is the high density point cloud and includes every point that that camera has captured. I worked in practice for a number of years and people were sending me point clouds. I was dropping them into my design software and I was literally tracing over the top of them, a process which we refer to as scan to CAD. One thing Matterport came up with last year is a service called Matterport BIM file. This is a service that allows us to do that initial scan to CAD for you and translate the point cloud to a building information model. Now, we do provide it in RVT or Autodesk Revit format to start with, but we also supply the IFC, the Industry Foundation Class Open Source file with that as well. And it's with that one of these, for example, if we look at the Matterpack example, that could be taken from your Matterport account and then dropped into another piece of software, such as SimLab Stages. So with that, I'd like to stop sharing my screen and hand over to Marek, if that's okay.
Hello, my name is Marek. I'm the CEO and founder of SimLab. And we are like a Matterport technology partner that was actually lucky enough and happy to propose a solution for the EAC market, which we call Stages. And what is Stages, how it works? Let me just jump to my screen share and I will be more than happy to show it to you both on slides. And then after a couple of slides, I will do the live presentation. So please wait until that moment when you're gonna see it working live. So Stages is a software for EAC, and this is a web platform in the model software as a service, where Stages is mostly dedicated for all of the Matterport digital twin owners. Why? Because we would like to provide an extra functionality on top of what Matterport is actually delivering, a beautiful 3D digital twin 3D models, which are web available. So for that 3D models, we provide something that we call Matterport timeline or Matterport digital twin time lapse, which you can actually see how it will, how your project were looking through different time steps in the past. And also you can use it to monitor how the building is being aged for the next couple of years after it's delivered to the new owner. But on top of that, we are providing an advanced version of Matterport Tags and a communication toolkit, which we call our issue and task management system, which is of course based on the Matterport Tags, and it's compatible, so you can actually load all of the data that you already had in your Matterport account created. But what's the main concept? The main concept is that within Stages, we take all of the data about your property, facility, or construction site and put this all into our timeline feature, where each of the scanning point is one step on our time lapse that you have access to. And that means that not only Matterport walkthroughs, but we are taking IFC BIM models from Revit files, for example. We can take your blueprints in a BTF format, or for example, if you have a Matterpack with the 3D geometry scan or some kind of the installation done by the architects or by the construction team, we can also take it in a couple of formats like OBJ, FBX, IFC, and put it into your container of a data that we call Stage also as a container, and attach it to architectural additional models for example, interior design, to build a full lifecycle property model that is being changed through the time. And for that, we have 2 major toolkits. The 95% of our customers are using a web version where Matterport is enough. But if you have a construction department which is using the Revit model or any other kind of the 3D data, we need for that our desktop version, which is a little bit more engineering and much more complex, providing a little bit more features. But I will show you both systems, and you will see how still easy it is to use. And for both of the solutions, actually, there is no engineering knowledge needed how to operate the software and how to operate your digital twin version of your facility. So basically, this graph explains it most in a visual way. What we do with stages, we take your existing data from the construction team or from architects in the CAD format files. And then on top of that, in a next step of time, we take a Matterport scan 1, like for example, in this example, construction walls, then Matterport scan 2, which is like electric installation and the wires and the piping, which is already done on that side. And then we can add a next one, a next one, a next one, and build, we call it Matterport timeline or digital twin time lapse, where all of the construction process is documented. And on top of that, as you see, we have some kind of the advanced task management and issue management system, which I will show you also presented live how that basically works. But within having kind of the timeline of your project, we are providing additional toolkits which increase your productivity on the construction side. And some of them is like audio notes that you can record through your cell phone and then attach it to the 3D model. But the most important one to build up the Matterport productivity on their models is that we allow you a brush note, which is very, very useful and very liked by our customers, which means that you can actually take a screenshot and make your hand notes on the actual pictures and screenshots from the Matterport area and work this and share this with your collaborators. How it works, I will present it live, so let me just skip it. And the most important thing, which I wanted to show you and emphasize as one of the most important features for the Stages software, which increases the productivity of using digital twin technology, is our split screen, which means is that on the left or right side of the screen, you can take any data and compare to each other. In this moment, we have a stage 1, stage 2 Matterport models that shows the before and after effect, but that can also be on the side panel BIM data, it can be blueprints, or it can be some kind of installation drawings that you can actually would like to compare with the existing status of what was captured by the Matterport camera. So as built versus as design is also available through the Stages software, and very, very simple to use it because everything in our approach to our interface is very visual. And once again, no engineering knowledge needed to use that piece of the software. So with that summary, I would like to jump straight to the demo and show you basically how it works. And you can find us on sim-stages.com. And yes, we are helping you understanding with your job site. So let me just change my screen. And as I said, you can find Stages under the sim-stages.com address. This is how the landing page looks like. There is some information explaining to you how it works, how to start, some tutorials showing basically how to start with the Matterport models and adding one by one, but also some information about what's the difference between the professional version, where you are using a 3D models or not, and of course some demo examples that you can actually use it yourself, and how to create such a demo examples where you already have a 3D model within the Matterport account. I will show you in a couple of seconds. So let's jump to the top of the page where we have a login button here in the top right corner. When I'm gonna click it, I need to log in, and because I'm already saved by my browser, so I'm already going to my dashboard. And that's basically how your job screen looks like. This is all of them, it's a site. It's not separate Matterport models, as you can see on my Matterport account, because here we combine all of the models about that, for example, our office or that kind of the house or the fire station inside of the one container. And for that, we have a project that you can select here, and also organizations. Organizations are quite complex. This is a system which actually allows you to build different roles for the collaborators, but also create the teams of those collaborators and your project with also some kind of the data level access for each particular user. So you can actually control what's happening in the number of projects that you are having active in that particular moment. But that collaborating system is pretty advanced, works, it's verified with the customers, but let's jump to the things that are most interesting for us. So this is like your working examples that actually have no limitation. As you see, we can have an airport, we can have a private house, but we can have an office or, for example, a commercial building like the fire station. So the limitation is the limitation only of the Matterport capturing area, which is quite huge at this moment. How it works? Well, I think it's going to be best if I'm going to start from the live example, how to start with this, and then I will show you how to expand it to the more features and functionalities. So here you have like a small button which says add project. So let's do it. I need to select to which organization it's added. So that can be inside of your company, one of the collaborators, organization that you are having a different access rights to. So for example, let's say the organization which is called by name, my name, and then inside of that organization, I just put a demo case. Here I can put some description. So this is just for a demo, so we know later on that we need to remove it. I can upload the picture of the building that we're going to be dealing. So let's take a demo example at this moment, and here on the map you can locate it. Of course, I'm located in Poland, so let me put a pin where am I right now, so it picks up my address. And once we have it done, then let's go straight to the project. And this is how our dashboard looks like. It's got three most important tabs on the top. One is showing the stage info, nodes, and Matterport, which is of course the most important one because this is where the visualization is being placed. But we need to start from adding stages. So the stages, which are different time steps, are being launched by that icon on the top. And then you see there is no stages. So let's build some. So let me show you how to create a Matterport time-lapse effect in just a couple of minutes. And I hope I'm going to be under 5 minutes in this case. So let's call it a stage one. Stage one, let's put a date when the scanning was done. So let's say it was the 1st of the February. That's it. Let's confirm it. Then let's add stage two. Stage two, of course, you can select any name that is equivalent to your project site. So let's put it confirm. And just to show that it's not just limited to the 2 stages, let's put a stage 3. And of course, you can understand that we can do such stages each week, actually, that we take a measurement or scanning on the construction site. So you see, it just says that it's got no component, there is no description. So let's, we can rename it, but for example, for that case, maybe let's save time and don't put description, but let's put a component. So to do it, here is add component. And as you see here, we can read Matterport public links, which are also unlisted links in that moment, but also the private ones. So if you have a very limited access to your models, you can use a private links, and then you will be needed to put a password once you want to see the final effect. So let's put it like a status 1 of the building, or like a status 1. That can be any description. And what we are needing here is our Matterport link. So in the same time, I need to go to my Matterport account and copy a link to my Matterport space. So as you see, I selected the unlisted one. And what I just need to do, copy the URL for that Matterport walkthrough. I'm placing this here. And now you see that the component 1, which you call status 1, is added to my project. Of course, it says it's not synced because we did not calibrate this towards the another models. So let's do the same for the stage 2. Let me go to the stage 2. So I prepared my scan, which is called stage 2 in this moment. I need to copy this. So copy link, and I'm placing this to add component. Let's call it something different. Next scan for electrical. And let's put my Matterport model in here. And the same I need to do, so again, not synced, So the same I need to do for the number 3. So let's select a stage 3, which I need to copy as the URL link, and then I can place it at component. Let's put it like a hub job done, and let's put it here in that moment. So as you see, I just added 3 models, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, but none of them are synchronized. So we need to select one of them, and let's just say that we're gonna take a stage 1 as the reference model. So here set as synchronized, and I will treat that as the reference model. And then you see now we have a green status of the model. So if I'm gonna go to the next one, so we have the electrical wiring. So let's open the menu options, and now we need to synchronize the model because we need to adjust the positions of the cameras toward and the XYZ locations and the coordination system of that model to the one that is already used as the reference one. So how to do it? Just use synchronized, and now the wizard is being launched, which will guide you through the process of overlapping those 2 Matterport spaces together. And the question here should be if we should put a scanning position in the same places. No, we don't need that, because we always will drive you to the closest scanning point with the same angle of the camera. But what the wizard is saying here, I have a big resolution, so it's small letters. It's saying that please point 1A, 1B, 1C as the characteristic points in your Matterport model. So I'm selecting here point 1A. I select the next point 1B, for example, here, and then maybe let's say something for the calibration, something in another corner of the facility. Let's put 1 in 1C in that moment. So now when I have placed 3 characteristic points in my Matterport space, it's asking me about to do the next step. And in the next step, it's asking me to which model I should calibrate it. So please pick a reference model. So because we have just one reference, which was calibrated, so I select the status 1, which is coming from the stage 1, and accept component. So now I'm opening the original data, which is used as the reference. And as you see, we are not in the same position. So we need to point to the system exact same points in the Matterport space that we were using as the calibration reference points. So you see, it's now showing to A, to B, to C, to synchronize it with the previous model. Because I have a big resolution, here is my showing, so it shows that that was here in that corner. So I know that this is point 1A, which is equivalent to point 2A in this moment. To B, it was that corner. Always, if I will forget, I can bring some kind of the help, which is showing me where I put it this before. And point to C, we know that was that corner. And basically, that's it. Now I need to accept synchronization. So you see that this stage 2 is already synchronized. Let's do it very fast for the stage 3. So you see basically the process again and how simple it is. I do synchronization. Now I will try to do it in 45 seconds by selecting just the same points, although the points can be completely different. So now you see it's already almost finished apartment, which we're using as the case study. So here, let's use the same point. So we are aware that the process is repeatable, 1A, 1B, and the third one was here in that corner, 1C. So again, it asked me, please use the reference to an existing and synchronized already. So we have that stage 1, stage 2 is already synchronized. So we select one of those. Once it's done, I need to find those same points in that model again. So we know already, and we remember that was this one, and the last one was on the other end of the corridor. And I hope that I'm still under 45 seconds. If not, I promise to be better next time. So done. You see the model is synced. So now when we have a in a stages, stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3 synced already between each other, so we can jump to the Matterport. Once we do it, we are launching our walkthrough digital twin model, which, as you see, is launching pretty fast. Once it's done, let's maybe find some kind of the characteristic point on that construction site. And for example, let's keep in that corner. So how stages works basically is that now when I'm gonna bring back my stages, which are different dates of capturing the data, I can go to stage 2, and it keeps viewer in the same room, in the same location, with the same angle of the camera, looking at the same points of the model. So you see, now we see that there is a progress in the construction. We already have a dry walls put it and some electrical wiring behind the walls. So if I'm gonna go to the stage 3, you can track all of the construction progress, and I created this in 3 minutes only. So you see, I'm same room, same, it's probably a kitchen, and you see the walls are painted. We have some sockets already on the walls and some first furniture is coming. And that is main concept of stages, stage 1, 2, 3, 4. It can go even to 20, 100, doesn't matter. The construction can be monitored even once a week, once a day. That's depending on how much time you want to spend with digitalization. But the cool thing is that that works on the web, and we can bring up the timeline, which also you can see here as the dates, and that works also fine. But the most important feature for us is that you can actually pick up a split screen location, which is the icon on the bottom right corner. Once you're gonna open it up, then you can see direct compare what was happening from status A of the building to status B of the building, and through all of the characteristic points on the construction. So let's compare stage 2 versus stage 1. And now on the split screen, you basically see the magic and how much work was done for the last construction. So let's maybe go to the place where we don't have a walls behind us. So you see, basically, if you are interested how the wires are being laid down on the ceiling, you can track all of the wiring or the piping job which is being done for that facility. We did that effect in just few minutes. So easy, so simple. And of course, you can pick it up and share this as the compare screen even with your friends using or the customers or collaborators using the public link option. How to do it, I will show it in a second. But what's really cool about this is that if you're gonna go exit the compare screen, now we have additional feature that is actually allowing to increase your productivity on a construction site. And that is our communication system, which is again based on the Matter tags and the notes that we have in the Matterport original file. So you see, if we are talking about those cable works at this moment, and we are inside of the Matterport, it's pretty easy to use our note and issue management system in this plus, which is in the corner below the split screen. This is the second most important feature of our system. And now we can create like an issue, or we can create an information layer, how it was done with the Matterport tags. So socket missing, let's call it an issue in this moment. You see it was done today, notified last time by me, I'm the author. So let's say that I'm putting this as the issue. Now I can select a status of this one. But before that, let me place it in a space. So everything is drag and drop. I'm placing this, for example, about those cables in that moment. And I can change the status of pending to, for example, unresolved. So you see it's being changed in the real time. And now I can attach to one of the person that is sharing the same model with me. Of course, you can have 100 collaborators, but in this moment, in that organization, I have 3 people because it's a SimLab demo site. So I will share it with the Robert. And once it's done, I can attach to this as many documents as Chris was showing before. So I will maybe just do it very fast and put some pictures. You can put some blueprints, you can put some documents, you can put whatever things that you want. So let me add something more to it. Let me put like some more brochures. And on top of that, I can record audio, add Google documentations. But what's the cool thing that let's record a screen because let's record a voice because we are, let's say, with my cell phone up, I'm on the construction site. So I can say, hey guys, sockets are missing, the customer is coming tomorrow, please fix it today. It's very important. Then I can put this as the description and it goes again to my library. Why it's going to my library? Robert gets information about that issue at the same moment. So that was a pretty useful to record audio. But on top of that, we can add something more, which is something interesting, like a screenshot. So this can be used very easily. So I can select, for example, an angle of the camera view in my Matterport. I can say like a socket living room, for example, as the issue, take a screenshot. And now the magic happens because it opens a control panel with colors and the font. And let's say that right now I can say that this one, move it from here, move it, for example, here. Okay, let's change the color because it's like a little bit. So I put the sockets in here and I can make some comments, move. Okay, sorry, move. So this is being saved and virtual inspection of the construction site is right now being added with a new task, which is addressed to Robert. And of course, once Robert will get it, we can have a correspondence that we can have our small exchange of the information here. So everything that we do can be then transformed and passed with the documentation towards the property owner, because if I'm gonna change it from the issue to the information, all of the blueprints, all of the manuals, all of the insurance documents, the safety cards for the particular elements can be transformed to the new owner of the facility, sharing and transforming this project. That what I just did here is going to our node system. And that means is that if I'm gonna show you a project which is a much more complex, like for example, let's select, for example, this one, you see that the node system are much more complex. Each of them's got XYZ tag that actually I can see it where it's located in a space. But the cool thing is that all of those issue management system and the nodes I can filter depending on the status or the person or the project or the time restrictions. And then all of this can be printed out as the PDF document and sent towards my collaborators, or I can print it out as the PDF and go to the construction site and have a sign-off report to make sure that the job is done properly. And that's Stages Web, which was pretty useful, pretty fast to show how to reuse it and build a Matterport time-lapse. But as I said, we have also a desktop version of that system, which is a little bit more complex. It also is using a timeline, as you can see here, but a little bit more engineering. Why? Because in this moment, in that view, I compare a blueprint with as-built OBJ data, which we took from the Matterport, that is combined with the IFC data about those installation, which is coming from Revit, and all of that placed on the timeline is compared between each other. So I can easily see how that was changing through the next stage. Oh, here's the construction wall. And all of this can be compared together on a split screen view. But in this moment, as you see here, I'm comparing a Matterport, which is OBJ data, which I can change to, for example, another one. And that I can compare with engineering data, which is coming from Revit in this moment in the IFC format. So this kind of the direct compare as built versus as designed is also possible if someone actually needs to use Revit models. If you think that OBJ data is not good enough because the scanning quality from the scanning option ABC was not enough, you can always switch it to a 360 beautiful panorama pictures, which are taken by the 4K camera from the Matterport Pro 2 in this moment, and see exact compare of each details which are being captured by that photographic equipment and are compared towards the Revit on the right side. So that's basically about the stages, how it works, how to create your own Matterport time-lapse option, and ready for any questions.
That's great. Thank you very much, Marek and Chris, for the presentation. I'm just going to share my screen very briefly. There we go, just so that you have our contact details. We do have some questions that have come through. A couple of them I can answer directly. Yeah, we will be sending a copy of the recording afterwards. We just need a little bit of time to format it, and then we'll get it sent out to you. There was a question which I see Chris has answered already, which is talk about combining two spaces together. Do you fancy just giving a quick summary for the answer for that one, Chris?
Yeah, so obviously in terms of merging models together, you know, if you go and capture one side of a building, say on one particular day, and then, you know, for whatever reason you return at another time, you can keep on going with the same project. You don't have to upload immediately. You could literally just have that small file on your iPhone, your tablet, and pick up the scanning where you left off. That's the ideal scenario. But there are times where somebody has two separate models which they will want combined and joined together. We do have a stitching service which our internal teams actually utilize and join the spaces together. What I would say is, if that is something that you are going to use, you need to be sure that you have sufficient overlap in model 1 with model 2, so that the team know exactly how those two elements fit together.
Brilliant, thank you, Chris. And one for Marek. Could you just quickly run again, Marek, through the file formats that Stages supports?
Okay, so up till now, we are supporting, of course, Matterport walkthroughs, which are a public link or unlisted link, or can be a private link from your Matterport account. But on top of that, we are able to synchronize this data with the OBJ, which is a Matterpack, which is a 3D geometry provided as the mesh from the Matterport account. But on top of that, we are giving FBX, which is very common format for 3D graphics, which can be from your interior designer. But I guess that you are mostly interested in the BIM data format. So IFC is the standard that we are supporting inside of the Stages desktop, and blueprints in the PDF format. We are working on a DWG, so it's going to be launched in the next couple of weeks. But today, IFC data is what you are exporting to from Revit, Archicad, and then we are able to read it natively inside of the Stages.
Brilliant, thank you very much, Marek. One for you, Chris. Are we going to be able to share links through Dropbox?
Yeah, that's a good one. You should be able to do that already. What I'd say is we actually changed our tagging system last year. You used to have to put links into other websites where the data sat on Dropbox or something similar. You can now actually embed those files directly in the Matterport space. So if you do have an image or maybe over a short video, you can drag and drop and it will be embedded inside there. It's not stored externally. However, if you do want to, you know, you've got information stored on Dropbox, maybe larger file formats that you don't want to include in the Matterport space, you can simply put in a URL link into the tag. The user would click the link and it would open up Dropbox in a new browser. So that's already functional now if you're looking at the workflow for linking Dropbox files in.
Brilliant, thank you, Chris. So we're coming up a little bit over time now, overrun by about 5 minutes. So I want to take the opportunity to thank Chris and Marek. Hopefully what you've seen during the course of today's presentation is just how easy it is to set up and capture a Matterport 3D model, a digital twin, and some of the functionality that you have inside it that will help you to collaborate better with stakeholders and colleagues. And from Marek, you've seen exactly how easy it is to create a very sophisticated system for managing a project, for documenting the changes that have been made in the project, and be communicating, of course, again with stakeholders in a very visual and very clear way that anybody can engage with. So I hope this has been useful to you. If you have any more questions, please drop us an email to webinars@matterport.com. You can see the email address on the screen here. And we do encourage you, of course, to go and visit matterport.com and sim-stages.com as well to find out more information. So please keep your eyes open on your email box. This is the first of a sequence of webinars that we're running specifically for the architecture, engineering and construction industry. And there will be another webinar hopefully hopefully as interesting and engrossing as this one has been, sometime in the next 6 to 7 weeks. So we look forward to joining you there. Thank you very much for taking your time. And as I say, please contact us if you have any questions. Goodbye now.